This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI-assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Wednesdays are casual Wednesdays, but there's nothing casual about what's coming up today because this is going to be racing of the highest quality. This is going to be aggressive racing. This is sim racing when it can be at its most daunting. 2 races, 15 minutes long each, and at a circuit which does promote a lot of overtaking. Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia sets the scene for racing today, brought to you by World Pro Racing because it is the all-German sprint challenge today, and it is with you with World Pro Racing's YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch as well. On top of that, we are also with TVM Sport. We are also with Motorsport.tv, and we're also with ESTV, the Esports Television Network. My name's Jake Sperry. That's Nicholas Hillebrand, who's alongside me for the proceedings here today. But Nicholas, this is going to be about pace. It's not necessarily a strategy game here today. This is a pace game. Quickest driver who can break away in the opening half a lap is probably going to find themselves with a lot to enjoy come the checkered flag.
Yeah, most definitely. Today, due to these short races, it will be a flat-out pace race from start to the finish. And of course, the German showdown, you said it, we have exclusively German cars here, so the Porsche, the Mercedes, the Audi, and the BMW. And at Road Atlanta, one race which, pretty much all of these manufacturers have tried to win before with prototypes. Now we're here with GT3 cars. And these 4.088 kilometers over this iconic track, I think they're going to be quite a nice challenge today.
They go up, they go down, they go left, they go right, they go sideways, they go slantways, they go any which way. It's almost like trying to drive the Great Glass Elevator from Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. That's the sort of feeling you're going to get in the vehicles today. We are going to be looking over towards going to practice in the next couple of minutes time, but if you haven't already and you are into the action, you can like, share and subscribe to World Pro Racing for more amazing action that'll be coming up to you. You can head over to the YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitch, wherever it is that you're getting your content. You can always go and make sure that you are helping out here to promote some brilliant sim racing. And on top of that, if you have not already, you can go to worldproracing.com because that's where you need to go to sign up to these sorts of events. It doesn't matter, say, if your platform is rFactor 2 as it is today, if it's Gran Turismo Sport, it doesn't matter if you are a veteran of sim racing or you are just making your first starts forward. This is about trying to get yourself into the scene, and one place to do that is, of course, with World Pro Racing. But it's going to be important to note here, Nicholas, that it's worth keeping in mind how easy it is to make mistakes across the opening sectors of the lap. There are 2 very, very important points to keep in mind. Is that S's section down the hill is always very tricky, but it's the rise up which seems to catch many more drivers out, especially that very, very tricky left-hand bend of turn number 5, which has caught out so many a driver time and time again.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's really important to just get into the right groove right from the start. You just never really stop turning down the entire hill. Very iconic section in World Motorsports, of course. And with these cars, you don't have the most downforce. So you get thrown around a little bit. You still have to just adjust a tiny bit, with each little bump. And then, as you said, turn 5, Jake, I think it's going to be a very big challenge. Simply because you just get straight over a crest and you have to hit that inside curb a little bit to get the most, straight run, to carry the most momentum through that corner. And then, of course, on the exit, it just instantly falls away again. So it's almost like, if this was rally, it would be pretty much a left 4 over crest possible jump. And in GT3 cars on a circuit, that's, of course, quite challenging, especially when you're racing someone.
And, of course, caution on exit as well with that huge curb on the right-hand side as you exit turn number 5. Very easy to lose traction over the course of that section. The prime overtaking place today, well, that's going to be at turns 10A and 10B, a left-right chicane, which is going to be one of the primary places where we are going to be seeing overtakes happening out there on circuit, mainly due to the fact that the one real straight, I think, that you find on this circuit, couple of corners dotted, turn 8 and turn 9 in the middle, those are the couple of corners which really do set up a downhill braking zone, which is made a lot tougher by the fact that you get that compression as you go downhill on the brakes.
Yeah, for the driver in real life, I think it's quite an experience because your spine gets compressed. Then, of course, you have the brake force as well. So I think our drivers today can be really glad that they are in fact, a simulation. And, of course, rFactor 2. It simulates quite a lot, but luckily not the G-forces working on a driver quite yet, as long as you don't have a motion rig.
And, well, we are just moving into practice right now. They can see one of the BMWs making some progress. They have themselves about 15 minutes left. It's all about 15s here today as we look at Guti Mikkelsen in the GT3 BMW at the moment, making the progress towards turn 8 and now through that towards turn number 9. 11 drivers out there today looking to try and get themselves the best times possible, and you can see on the timing tower who's on what tyres, because it seems like today, with such a short race, everyone's going to be on that red soft compound tyre today, trying to get the most out of the racing that we've got going on. Of course, Guti Mikkelsen is no stranger to Casual Wednesdays. Of course, the event that happened all the way back when it came to the Kyalami circuit, it was Guti Mikkelsen who looked like, for all the money in the world, was going to be picking up a big victory around that place. But, of course, circumstances said no in terms of that. But this is one of those races where you don't truly know how it's all going to funnel out in the end. Every position here, you have to say, matters, and matters a lot more than it would do over an hour.
Yeah, definitely. Because, of course, you have to take less fuel, you don't have to worry about tire wear so much, but you also have to make your moves as early as possible. You can't really wait, you know? You just have to constantly be on the attack, make no mistakes, and just try to keep on pushing. As we have, you know, a few little stutters there as cars are getting loaded in. 13 of the 16 registered drivers now here. So generally, I think today's going to be a very interesting race, especially just with, you know, everyone just pushing right from the start, because we've seen so many different strategies, even in the Hockenheim race, you know, with people trying different tire compounds, with people trying, well, to go for a pit stop to maybe get the most out of their race. But for these short races, it's really going to be just constant pushing from the start, as if basically just trying to pump out qualifying hot lap after qualifying hot lap, while also overtaking people.
Some say it's easy, others are thinking that it maybe is not at this stage. Mikkelsen has gone to second position behind Justin Mifsud, who, of course, for those who are tending to watch, he is the owner of World Pro Racing, or, well, he was top for the time being, but it seems like Garrido has just jumped ahead by 0.8 of a second. There is Justin right now going down pit lane, looking to get another lap out there on the board, but ultimately, what we're finding is that, you know, Casual Wednesdays are just that. They are casual. Anyone can participate in a Casual Wednesday race. Maybe sometimes, Nicholas, if we were feeling like we wanted maybe a little bit of a break, maybe a chance to, you know, let the hair down, so to speak, then I'm sure that we may be looking at a Casual Wednesday race here or there. And I know that this is one of those sorts of races where it doesn't really matter what your skill set is, how quick you are, what you have. There's one goal when it comes to a Casual Wednesday race, and that is F-U-N and fun.
Yeah, that is definitely the case. I mean, it's very nice that we have, well, one of our broadcast directors here, Justin Mifsud, right now in the car, actually switched places with Nathan, who we've seen race before. So, you know, it's as you say, anyone can just come in and join. There we have Justin just quickly here, well, as a sort of onboard, you know, looking over his shoulder as he's driving in his way down to number turn 10A. Technically 2 corners, but due to the old track layout where this was only 1 corner, they just kept calling it 10A and 10B. So that's a little bit of trivia.
It certainly is. He's, of course, racing from the fantastic Sim Racing Centre over in Malta, which will be opening soon to visitors as and when that becomes available. But this is a track which really does open up the opportunities here. You can see you pretty much riding up the hill. You got that very, very difficult turn 3, and that's why, because you can lose the rear on the end going through 4 and through the S's section, which is labelled as the S's before taking the rise, and this very difficult turn number 5 out there on circuit. You can see them take all the curb, and they get some exit as well on the end of that. Of course, there's a number of layouts that go around this circuit as well. The very, very treacherous club layout is one that I think doesn't often get talked about, as we see a few drivers up and down the order starting to find some times. That's one of the Gonzalez brothers then going to 5th place with that time. Of course, those 2 Gonzalez brothers are going to be worth keeping in mind. You've got Anton Valle Gonzalez, and then you got Francisco Valle Gonzalez as well, both part of the GZ Racing team, and both would be looking to try and find some times as well. Mifsud currently quicker middle sector than he was looking at right now, as the other Gonzalez goes up. Joaquin Cavero there into 8th position, and Gomez then jumping into 6th place then. With that time over the line, we look with Justin Mifsud. Is this going to be improvement? It is not going to be improvement. That's a 1:19.2, mainly because of the slide going on through. But a number of layouts here at this Road Atlanta circuit, Nicholas. And of course, that club layout, which you can see a lot of runoff areas around this place, that club layout is so tight.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think I speak for everyone when I'm saying, it's always interesting with other layouts, but when I think it's very hard, when you know that the big track, you turn to the left and then you still continue on speedy, have the long straight to look forward to after turn 7 and 8. It's always a bit of a heartbreak when you drive the club layouts. Then you just, sort of castrate the track in that way. Even though, the club layout itself is not all too bad either. But luckily we're on the full layout today with this enormously long straight, and the braking zone into turn 10A being ever so harder in that case.
Here we have Maciej Kasprzyk here making some progress. Currently hasn't set a time yet, as Steve DeCellis jumps into 9th position, 3.8 seconds off of the pace. It's a very, very quick lap around here, just 1 minute 18 seconds, currently the fastest time of anybody right now, and Maciej will be looking to try and find as much time as possible here on the brakes into this 10A, 10B section, through the left, through the right, try and take as much track as you can, use the exit, and then you've got this very difficult blind turn 11, which goes down the hill to this flat turn 12, maybe a slight lift, as this is Kasprzyk will go on board for a lap then, through turn number 1. Very easy to get wrong. Slightly misses the apex there on entry, but you can gather that up on the exit. The left of 2 leads to 3 here. This tough corner. Very easy to go over that curb and be incredibly aggressive through 4. And now the S's section here. Down the hill. Back up it once again. Always searching for times as you go through the left of turn number 5. Be very cautious on how you put the power down on the exit. And now you're already at the top of the circuit. 6 and 7 coming up.
And there's hard on the brakes, 3rd or, depending on the gearing, 2nd gear sometimes. Now, definitely for 2nd or maybe even 1st gear, as we see here in the M6. And now just the long acceleration zone around this left-hand bend. This is turn 8, up the hill. And actually, we've seen cars flip up the hill here before. I think most popularly the 911 GT1 Porsche in 1998. But nevertheless, going over this crest through the right-hand bend through turn 9, and now the hard braking zone here into turn 10A, and now into the right-hand at turn 10B. Over the... that's a bit much of the exit curb there. Over the crest for turn 11, and now through turn 12, and heavy on that curb. And the BMW, you have to say, is the perfect car to tackle these bigger curbs because of this very long wheelbase. A lot of high-speed stability with this thing.
And top of the timing stands, then in that BMW is Giancarlo Vallada, who has been knocking on the door of getting some good results. Time and again, when it's come to Casual Wednesdays, this could be the moment where Vallada stamps down with authority, says, I'm the one who has the pace today. Maybe come and challenge me in terms of this racing. A 29.8 opening sector is not the fastest that he's done over the course of things right now, going through 6 and 7. Of course, we do have 5 minutes and under now here in practice, and once that all gets sorted out, we move over towards qualifying and putting in the one good lap together. Currently it is Giancarlo Vallada who is the quickest at the moment. You've got Carlos Gomez in second position, and then in third place overall in terms of the times, it is Martin Garrido there in that third position. So 1, 2 and 3 all looking very, very interesting here as Mikkelsen makes progress over towards the line, looking to go and start a representative flying lap. But of course, you also have to remember this point as well here, Nicholas. It's that maybe sometimes when it comes to these races, because there is that air of needing to be aggressive, needing to be quick, sometimes it might not be the best place to be starting at the front of the field. Maybe if you are second, third, start to warm yourself up through the event, you might find yourself in a really nice position as Mikkelsen just proves why it's so difficult over that curb at turn 5.
Yeah, it's definitely important to keep in mind to finish first. First, you have to finish. And just being on the front row, of course, you don't have too many cars in front of you. But, of course, you're the prime suspect of being attacked into turn 1 because, well, everyone is very stressed, of course, in a sprint race. Everyone wants to make their moves as quickly as possible. And, well, it's not that uncommon that we see two wide action just through the entirety of the S's and then on the way to turn 5. And we saw just now with Guti Mikkelsen here, even in the M6, even in one of the more stable cars in this challenge, well, no one is safe. That is an alternate route through turn 11 and 12. Just couldn't quite decide if he wanted to take the motorcycle layout or the normal Grand Prix layout, which we're using here. And, but as I said, you're not really ever safe. That's the next spinner in the more stable car. But, right, third time's the charm. You're not ever safe from just getting the rear out a little bit too far. And, of course, when you're at the front, you don't want to lose it over that curb. Because, of course, the more cars are behind you, the more are at risk of crashing into you, of course, as well.
There is always that risk. It seems like BMW is the most popular vehicle. We've seen an Audi, and here is a Porsche then. Francisco Villa Gonzalez looking to try and go towards turns number 6 and 7 out here on the road. You can tell the iconic Porsche design as they go on through and look for some times. What's the balance going to be like today? We know that the BMW has that nice wheelbase that certainly does play into its own hands. But Nicholas, how do the other vehicles stack up? The likes of the Audi, for example, the Porsche, even the Mercedes that we've been seeing Sheldon Scott Muscat driving about to 4th place.
So there's a very nice overall balance, I'd say, between the 4 GT3 cars we have today. Of course, the BMW front engine rear-wheel drive with a very long wheelbase. So overall, it should be one of the more stable cars to just throw through longer corners. Then we have the Mercedes, which is also front engine rear-wheel drive, of course. Everything is rear-wheel drive, of course, in GT3. But the big front engine V8, over 6 liters of displacement and naturally aspirated. So I think the Mercedes is a very predictable car, so you can push it very hard. It has a bit of a shorter wheelbase than the BMW, so it's a bit more agile. So it's a tiny bit well, more prone to a bit of oversteer if you push it too hard. Then we have the Audi mid-engine and with a very nice 5.2 liter V10. So very, very lovely sound from that car. But with that mid-engine, very different handling characteristics. There we are, that word. It has a lot of mid-corner grip. It is very agile, but that mid-corner grip on the front can very quickly translate into oversteer. So you have to, how do you say it best? You have to really just take it in doses. You can't enjoy it too much at the same time. And then we have, of course, the Porsche that you mentioned just now. Always rear engine. I think this is the one big selling point of the Porsche. So whenever you go off the throttle, you just have this insane amount of front-end grip that just comes in very suddenly. And of course, on throttle, one of the most stable cars in the business.
Absolutely is. Practice just about starts to draw itself to a close. 7 drivers then within 1 solitary second out there on track, but practice times don't mean too much. That's sort of telling us where is the order potentially as everyone starts to look for time. It's about qualifying now. It's about putting the best foot forward, getting the best lap together, and who can find that best lap right when they need to. They'll have 15 minutes on the clock to try and sort that one out, Nicholas. But the real question is, at this point, it seemed like everybody was finding a couple tenths here, finding a couple tenths there, finding tweaks, finding checks and balances to other things. It seems like there's not really a true form book right now for how things are going to be looking in qualifying.
Yeah, I think Road Atlanta, overall, when you just look at the track map, it seems simple enough. But of course, on the track maps, you never see the elevation, you never see the off-camber. Even though it's such a short track with just over 4 kilometers, there's a lot of places where you can make errors, just very tiny errors, which cost you a whole lot of time. And I think it will be really about who gets this perfect lap together, who gets the least amount of errors into one lap, and then just wrap it up nicely in a very nice gift basket and present it, well, to the timekeepers and convince them this is the fastest lap, I should start on pole position.
And of course, we are seeing every driver looking to get on going. Now, here is the Audi being run by Justin Mifsud then, currently 7th when it came to the practice times. Velada, the fastest, followed by Joaquin Cavero. And then you got, of course, Gomez in 3rd, Garrido 4th, Muscat, Kasperzik, Mifsud, and then Mikkelsen, Gonzalez, and Gonzalez became the top 10. A couple of drivers didn't go out there and set any laps. Adam Plivash was certainly one of the drivers who didn't manage to get a lap time out there, and nor did Renzo Melzi as well in the GV racing car. So, of course, teammates to Giancarlo Velada. That one not quite ideal for Melzi's race. But we are looking now in terms of trying to see who puts first time on the board, and you can see how difficult it is to try and spot where your braking marker is for turn 1. You almost have to use the club pits to make sure that you get the best advantage as you rise up the hill through 2, looking towards turn number 3 out there on circuit. Now the long left that comes along of 4. Down the hill you go, and starting to attack the S's section. Understeer is not your friend through this section, but how aggressive can you be over the curb, and how much can you attack heading towards the middle sector? 30.3.3, that's the fastest first sector of anyone, or at that point it was.
Yeah, and there's now turn 6 and into turn 7, and as you said, the curbs, which ones can you tackle, which ones can you not tackle? Now around this very long turn 8 bend up the hill, maybe just still trying to get a little bit of slipstream from the car ahead, but I don't think that will be the case for this one. Now going around the bend at turn 9, and well, still no curbs to worry about. Once again, purple sector for the moment. And hard braking, second gear, very nice over the curb there, very nice inside over the curb there, and taking a lot of space on the outside as well. Now over the crest, and this is just such a leap of faith through turn 11 and into turn 12, over the inside curb actually, and into potential first place right now with an 18.808.
Well, it was, but there is Garrido, Martin Garrido, a 1:17.9 is the time. Guti Mikkelsen jumps up then into second place, then just 1/10 of a second off of what is needed as Sheldon Scott Muscat now starts to try and drive it over towards the line, and those are 3 purple sectors and goes clear by a whole 10th in the AMG Mercedes. So that one working quite nicely. Giancarlo Velada is on an outlap at the moment, searching for times and going through, as is, of course, Chushi Gomez, who will be looking to try and get some good times. Krulos Gomez will be looking to try and get some times. And well, after Gomez as well, we have just seen the likes of DeCellis go 11th and Plivash inside the top 10. So Velada going on to start a flying lap, the fastest driver in practice, trying to muscle the BMW all the way to the top of the timing stand.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be, like the interesting part now. Everyone got their first banker laps out, everyone knows what pace they have to aim for. And now Giancarlo Velada, we've seen him over the last couple of weeks, over and over again in these casual races. And every single time, he was always there in an attacking position. And in the end, just something quite couldn't click. Now with the green sector with 29.736 in sector 1 as he goes around turns 6 and 7. But, maybe overall his pace seems to be very, very good here in this GT3 BMW. I think he gets along with this a little bit better than with the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup at Kyalami, for example. And he now even gets a little bit of a tow here down the back straight from another BMW. So a bit of, brand to brand helping each other out here. And that certainly helped. That is a purple Sector 2, 29.839, and now over the crest for turn 11 and 12.
Couple of corrections, though, coming out of 10B. That might just slow things down a bit. Over the line, it's still good enough to go fastest by a whole tenth. So Giancarlo Vallada puts the car up in pole position then. Second is now Muscat, and you got Joaquin Cavero, who has moved up into third position ahead of Martin Garrido in fourth. This is Francisco Valle Gonzalez here, and of course, the Gonzalez brothers will be looking for a good time. That's not representative of 46.5 in the opening sector for the Porsche, so this will not be a representative time. It definitely won't now, going off the track at turn number 6, finding the wall, and that will surely be a case of go and bring that one back to pit and find a little bit of time. Here's Adam Plivac, though, looking to go on to a flying lap at this stage and try and find that time. It's a very entertaining top 5 at the moment. It's split by just 3.8 tenths of a second right now, with 6th place belonging to Kasperzik, but that is not the ideal line through turn number 1, just slightly pushing too hard there through a corner which really does want to invite you in and then effectively bite your neck.
Yeah, it falls a bit away, just grip-wise. It's not quite off camber, but you expect the corner to have way more grip than it has. And there's Steve DeCellis with his first lap with a 1:27.64, so a little bit off the pace right now, but Plivac actually goes in to set his first lap as well. So DeCellis just 66 thousandths of a second behind Plivac. So it's close up and down the field, you could say.
Well, it was until Giancarlo Vallada just found another 0.3 of a second on his lap, jumping to a 1:17.3. Mikkelsen sets the fastest last sector, which puts him up into second then, just 0.4 of a second off of pole position. But at the moment, it is clearly Vallada's race at the moment in qualifying. We're halfway through qualifying in the next half a minute or so, with Mikkelsen second, Muscat in third, and then you got Cavero and Garrido fourth and 5th position. Gomez has just jumped up as well into 6th place, just making that mid-pack very, very interesting as well. This is Grulas Gomez here in the BMW, trying to find some times and doing a pretty good job of things, I think it has to be said at the moment. He's certainly up there and trying to challenge, but I reckon that this could get a lot closer out there on the times, as Garrido just jumps up now into 4th place, puts himself in that 0.4 of a second off barrier.
Yeah, and it's getting closer and closer, I would say. We have now 5 cars within pretty much half a second. We'll just disregard these 300ths of a second for Cavero there. But once again, we have this typical syndrome of having a couple guys just grouped together, and this group usually persists within the entire race. So I think it's going to be very, very fun to watch when the race comes around. Now we are once again with the camera on Justin Mifsud here, on track and also, of course, on board in the sim rig. And again, a second sector improvement. Second sector really seems to be the point where he constantly tries to improve, but it's just not quite enough to get a bit of more time in. And overall, he would have to gain 0.4, but I think if he would just get that lap together, that is still something that's possible for him.
And of course, a very clean lap around this place can be incredibly frustrating to get. This is Renzo Melzi right now trying to find some time. 30.2 in the opening sector, not quite enough. A 19 flat is the best at the moment, 1.7 seconds off of the pace, but there is still time to be found here in terms of this lap. Going through then the middle sector through turn 8, and now you got this turn 9, which is so important to set up. You go wide to get in as narrow as you can through the corner. It sets you up here on the braking zone for turn 10, and look at that, that's a green middle sector. That's the fastest sector that Renzo Melzi has done in the second sector. Going over the crest then through 11 and down the hill towards 12, as Mikkelsen now in third is because of Cavero, who's jumped to second. Renzo Melzi jumps to 8th place on an 18.6 then. That jumps Mifsud down a place to 9th place, but Joaquin Cavero, haven't seen any of him out there on track, but he's up there in second place having a really good run.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very nice to see how people get along with different cars, because Cavero, I think he wasn't consistently up there with the GT3 Cup cars, but now I think with the proper GT3 cars, ironically with a car with more power, you know, it seems he's finding a bit more of a center, you know, getting his marks in, and just 2.5 tenths behind Giancarlo Velarde in first place. And of course, we still have 5 minutes of qualifying to go, so I think everyone is still quite there. And actually, we have Garrido here setting second place once again, only 1/10 behind Giancarlo Velarde. And as I was just about to say, we have 5 minutes of qualifying left. And of course, the dynamic track here in R-Factor 2, more grip is getting put down. So I think everyone will try to head out again in these last closing minutes to just get the optimum grip on track and work this to their advantage.
That will be really frustrating for Joaquin Cavero there. Green first sector, green second sector, outbreak yourself into 10.8 MB. That's not how it works. Sheldon Scott Muscat, 29.8 though, on the opening sector. That Mercedes loves the opening sector, but then here's where the struggles start. Big slide going through the right-hand bend of turn 6, trying to put the power down through turn 7, and now the run here, the small kink left of 8, there'll be a kink right of turn number 9 coming up, as this is where the tracks merge on the right hand side of the circuit, and now they go through, or he goes through turn number 9, searching for times. How good's the middle sector? Oh, it's only a 30.0, so not quite what is needed here. Small correction going through, trying to find a little bit more on the power under the Fox Factory sign, and down the hill through 11 and 12. Is there anything more that Sheldon Scott Muscat can do to gain places? Answer is, that's a 17.821. It does improve the time, but not the place, which is very, very crucial in terms of the time. So Velarde, Garrido, Cavero, Mikkelsen, Muscat, your top 5. Gomez there in 6th position. And now everybody out then on circuit will be searching for times with 3 minutes to go here in qualifying, and a bit of chump change you can throw in on the side as well. So now you start to think, okay, 3 minutes, where do I need to be? And around this track, where's the best place to be in terms of track position?
Well, overall, there isn't too much other than the S's that depends on downforce. And of course, well, the S's turn 5. You really need a lot of downforce. But for the rest, I think you're really well off just sitting right behind someone, getting some of that slipstream. And especially for the back straight, the run from turn 7 to turn 10A, you can really gain a lot of time there if you just get a decent run going, as we had that purple sector very fast from Giancarlo Velarde before he reset. But yeah, I think everyone here now in a big pack together. We hear all different engine noises here. And yeah, just stay clean. We see those two Audis actually almost in tandem. They're just trying to be a bit offset to get more downforce through the last corner, with Mifsud really trailing his fellow Audi driver through turn 1 again now, but that is a bit understeer, a bit oversteer, and that is definitely not what you need through turn 1. You really need to keep it clean.
Kasperczyk then goes up to 6th place with that time. Did very well, 0.8 of a second then off the pace, 0.5 tenth clear of Gomez. Here is Guti Mikkelsen though, taking the climb up the hill behind Sheldon Scott Muscat there. Oh. And there goes Guti Mikkelsen around for a 180-degree spin. He'll need to get in and out again pretty quickly to go and set a representative lap time once more. 1 minute 40 on the clock. There is time, but you have to traverse pit lane and go quickly. Melchi jumping up then into 8th place, jumps Mifsud down to 9th once more in terms of times. Everybody searching then for times. Renzo Melchi then getting himself up into 8th position. You got the Gonzalez brothers 10th and 11th, Plivac in 12th, and DeCellis in 13th then at this moment in time. But this is now going to need to be who's on track in the best possible position and who can find that time improvement right now out there on track, as everybody is searching just for that one little bit more, that 10th, that 100th, that 1000th. It's almost like going to the sweet shop, ordering your hundreds and thousands, because they'll soon become tenths, and then you'll find that you're pretty much drowning in hundreds and thousands out there on circuit. So 50 seconds to go, Nicholas. How do you prepare yourself for the one big lap? Because, of course, once qualifying starts or your lap starts, you have until the checker flag comes out to finish it.
Well, you have to be 100% fully concentrated. You have to, well, to some degree also pray, as we're now on board again with Justin Mifsud on his final attempt here. 30 seconds left on the clock, but he's of course allowed to finish this lap. And just see like how much he's pushing it on the limit there. The tires are on the limit absolutely through that corner. Hard over the inside curb at turn 3. Now around turn 4, down to turn 5 and 6 here, the S's. And then here, turn 5, and just the inside curb, and just over the outside curb every single time. It's really a moment where you can't help but just hold your breath. And it is an improvement in Sector 1, so now through turn 6 and 7 and down the back straight, it'll really be important to keep it all together.
It all matters now. You've got to find the time now, because the timer has expired. Velada has found an extra 10th of a second in the back pocket, moves to a 17.2 at the front of the field. Mifsud looking for times in 9th place. Garrido 2nd, Cavero 3rd. Mickelson currently in 4th position, not safe in that 4th place, but you feel the top 5 are pretty much under lock and key at the moment. It's a slower middle sector for Justin Mifsud, trying to make some progress towards the line as Gomez jumps up into 4th place with a time that is absolutely sensational. Mifsud making progress now to the line. Is there more to be had? The answer to that is no. It's an 18.551. It does not gain any places, stays in 9th, but there have been changes late in the qualifying session, and crucially, it is Gomez who finds the little jump exactly when it's needed. Krulas Gomez then going up into 4th position late in the session, but crucially when it was needed, Giancarlo Velada finding an extra 10th of a second there, Nicholas, to just give that buffer margin in qualifying.
And, well, you could really tell that he really gets along with this car and this track combo when he was needed. As you said, he was able to perform. And really, quite honestly, in the last minutes, the last moments of qualifying, I think that's, even though you have the most grip, I think that is the most difficult part, just because you have so much pressure on you. You can barely just, well, I would say, you can't stand under the pressure. That's why you're sitting in the car. But yeah, he just kept it together, got another 10th out, and that's, well, earned him the pole position, very rightfully so.
And of course, that was always going to be so very key looking at qualifying. It was a case of everybody looking at how close they could get to the bar, but every time it seemed like there was a little bit of doubt, and the qualifying times were looking like they were going to get close to Giancarlo Velada. He just found an extra bit in the back pocket, said no. Go to this speed, you try and find this little bit of improvement. And honestly, you look at the drivers behind, you got Gomez, you got Mickelson in there, who looks like he could definitely challenge. You got Garrido, you got Cavero. This is going to be a very, very strong pack chasing behind here, one Mr. Giancarlo Velada. And the question becomes, well, if you can break away early, it's nice, but what if you can't and you're being forced to drag yourself into a dogfight?
Well, I think that is going to be pretty much a war of attrition then, because you never really have a moment's rest, because when you're in a proper dogfight, the first half of the lap, I would say, you're constantly just trying to stay ahead. You're constantly trying to put a gap between yourself and the car behind you. If you're chasing, you're just trying to hang on right behind that car and maybe even force them into an error. But as soon as the second half starts, as soon as you go out of turn 7, you activate the rocket boosters, you just have a look into the rear view window of the car ahead and just to try to look through that, because you're going to try and get as close to that car as possible before you just veer to the side and then, obviously start your overtaking process. But the downforce of these cars, it's great through corners, but of course you don't want a lot of drag on that straight. That's why the entire slipstream part is so important there.
And of course, we've also got to talk about turn number 3 out here on track, because that is the corner where everything potentially is going to happen in terms of the start. You go up the hill through turn number 1, you got a small kink left of 2, but it's turn 3 where the difficulties happen. You're braking uphill to go to a corner, which then on the exit goes downhill. It really does test all of the grip and driving capabilities of these drivers, and especially when they are funneling into that turn 3 corner. It's one of those places, Nicholas, where I think it's rightfully worth saying it causes incident.
Yeah, definitely, because just in turn 3, it suddenly gets so tight through turn 1 for the entire front straight, and especially with the pit exit as well. You still have a quite wide track. You can still go 2-3 wide, and while it's not necessarily advised, it is possible. But suddenly it all closes down, it gets really narrow, and it goes through the entire progress of the downhill S's. And especially up until the entire run after turn 5, it stays that way. Then for a very short moment, it gets wider again on that short run to turn 6. But up to the back straight, it's all a bit cramped. It's almost like a street circuit to some regard.
It certainly does have that feel, and you start to wonder, of course, about who can really get themselves the biggest and the best opportunity around this place. And of course, they've not got one opportunity today. They got 2 of them. They have, of course, the first race, which is 15 minutes, and the second race, which is aptly also 15 minutes. So the question is going to become, okay, if you don't get everything that you want in this first race, how do you tackle it? Because this might be, for some drivers, a race of just being a sighter in terms of how the second race is going to go. For others, it might be a case of they lose everything in the race and they now need that second race to really prove they've got something to play with. There's a number of different mentalities that will be coming on in terms of the way that this race is going to be going, Nicholas.
Yeah, and I think, quite honestly, you can have that mindset, if I mess up now, I still have the second race. But I think especially the drivers who qualified at the front, for example, Giancarlo Velarde, in the last couple of fun events, he wasn't quite able to match it. So I think he might have that mindset of, well, I didn't win the last 2 races. Now I've got 2 races. How about I try and win them both?
Well, how about indeed, as we get ourselves ready for a formation lap then around this place. There is your pole sitter, Giancarlo Velarde, who will be taking around this place and looking to try and break away in the early goings of this one. As you can see, it is the BMWs who have got the big advantage here, first and second and third and fourth when it has come to the qualifying times here. So this is going to be about now try and sort everything out, make sure that this all plays into the strategy, and it's worth noting who's on what compound attire, trying to pick this one all off. We've got a lot of people thinking about, okay, which one is the one for me? A lot of people here thinking about, okay, soft compound, maybe a medium, maybe a hard somewhere. It looks like mostly everyone will be looking towards the soft compound and making sure they've got exactly what they want available to them. And it seems like, at least for the time being, this could be anybody's race to have, and it's all about how aggressive you can be off of the starts. Down the hill, they will come along once more. Who's your pick for race 1 here, Nicholas?
Well, it's hard to tell. It'll all depend on how well Velarde can defend his position from Garrido and Cavero. All of them have showed that they have the pace and definitely the will to go and just fight for the win. But, well, it's a very short lap. It's a short race, but the lap is pretty much perfect for that. So we're looking at just over 10 laps here, I think, or just under 10 laps, depending on how much they fight, depending on what happens in the race.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how well people can defend and attack.
And that's going to be something worth just keeping in mind then, as everybody looks to try and get themselves ready around this place. They know what they need to do. They know what they need. They're all going to take their places then on the grid and look to try and stack everything up. Everybody setting themselves into positions then. It's a little bit awkward for a couple of vehicles here and there who are trying to leave enough space. Someone's stranded a little bit. Broadside in the middle. This is going to be quite awkward to try and sort this one out then, as they all look for their grid slots. How much did you miss your grid slot
is, of course, the next question that has to be made. And it looks like it's going to be an Austin Powers point turn, trying to get this one all sorted. Yes, we are waiting on you. I think that maybe Kasperich, they're in the 7th position, who's the one who's run into the trouble. So what can Kasperzik do to get this one going? Well, this is going to be a case of we all wait for you, Sunshine. Don't you worry about it then. You find your point turns and we'll just continue on nevertheless. And this is the most awkward thing, because you try and look for your grid position, you try and get it right, and you're trying to find, okay, where's the reverse now? Where have we got it? Finally, everything into line, and we're going to get ourselves ready. So from that little bit of awkwardness, let's put 15 minutes on the clock. And there's a little bit of creeping there off of the front then from Giancarlo Villada. That might just be tagged as they go 4 wide behind. Look at the start that Sheldon Scott Muscat's managed to pull out then in the AMG Mercedes. 3 wide behind into turn 1. And there's a spinner. It says stop, but no, you're going to continue to go around. So I think that may have been Cavero. No, it wasn't Cavero who went
was
around.
Gomez.
It was someone else. It was Gomez who was the one, I think, who's managed to find a spin. A nightmarish start, but Villada got clear. Krulas Gomez around.
Yeah, very unfortunate for him. This is exactly the thing that you don't want to happen in your start. But meanwhile, something that you want to happen on your start, something like, well, Sheldon Scott Muscat, absolutely incredible start from 6th place to 2nd before the first corner even came around. So that is definitely, something that Villada will have to watch out for. Of course, right now it's 1.8 seconds and rising. But if Muscat can carry on with this momentum, it's definitely going to be a threat.
And it's this momentum that's key here as they go towards 10A and 10B, the main place where all of the battles are going to be had on the brakes. Oh, bang! Guti Mikkelsen finds the back of Garrido through 10A and 10B. And I'm sure that the stewards will have a look at that. Mikkelsen dropping way down the order anyway with that sort of hit. So a disaster start for Guti Mikkelsen. Here's how it all came about. It's all about being late on the brakes, but Mikkelsen just a bit too late there and just tags the rear, trying to keep the car planted through the corner. And well, Garrido here will not be happy. He was spread eagle across the circuit, fortunately not on the racing line enough, but that really does change who is where in terms of the places. Villada lead, Muscat 2nd, Cavero in 3rd, and look who's in 4th position. It's Melchi.
Yeah, just a couple of guys really made the most out of the crashes that happened at the start. Same goes for Steven Nicelis, because he has gone from 13th to 8th place. So almost half of the grid overtaken through all of that chaos. People are heading to the pits now. Guti Mikkelsen in the pits, and that is a DNF actually. Same goes, I think, for Garrido, or maybe he's getting a repair instead. I don't quite know yet. But, well, a lot of chaos unraveling itself in the first laps here.
And Melchi has also jumped up to 3rd. He's gone past Cavero as they make that run to 10A and 10B. They jam on the brakes looking for their markers, and well, it's all fine at the moment, but Melchi here in 3rd is now having to play this defensive pact here in this one. We're already, I'd say, a 5th of the way through this race. This will go back quickly in terms of this one, and of course they've got one more afterwards. Cavero, all shades of sideways, going through the final corner, managing to gather it all back up again. Got Justin Mifsud in 5th position. Then you got the Gonzalez brothers in 6th and 7th position right now, which is going to be worth keeping an eye out on in terms of this race as everybody starts to find a position here. It's Anton, who is, of course, in 7th position. It's brother Francisco, who is in 6th right now. So Francisco here is the one trying to chase them. Both of the both of the Valle Gonzalez brothers here, Francisco and Anton, are both in exactly the same coloured Porsches. So in terms of making life very easy for us to try and identify who is who, the big way to identify is that Francisco does not have a Z at the end of the name.
Well, in a case of emergency, we can just shout, "It's Gonzalez," because we wouldn't be wrong either way. But just speaking of those two, they seem to be having a phenomenal race so far, because, well, they qualified a bit further down the order, but just like the Celis, they made the most out of the chaos at the start, moved up almost half of the grid order. Mifsud as well, coming from 9th, now in 5th place, and Cavero here, now we see him right behind Melzi. He hasn't finished talking yet. He really wants to fight back. That's a lot of sideways for a GT3 car and actually takes a bit of the grass as well.
Has to be careful about running too wide. Fastest lap of the day set by Giancarlo Vallada then, who is almost 5 seconds now clear at the front of the field. This is the scrap for the podium here, as you've got Melchi then and Cavero having this fantastic fight out there on circuit right now as they take the rise and go on through towards the next left-hander. There's also the battle right down at the bottom of the pack between Deselis and Kasprzyk, who's managed to get back out and away again or after that stop, after getting hit earlier on. And, well, actually, as we say that, he's in the wall.
That is a broken car. I think that's a DNF. I saw a wheel fly off there and the suspension and the rear wing. So, really going for a wombo combo there. But, yeah, I think that was just a bit too enthusiastic over turn 3. That is definitely, that is a lot of enthusiasm, a whole too much enthusiasm, sadly. So I think that might have spelled the end for Kasprzyk.
I think Machier got a little bit caught out by how slow Deselis is. Remember, Deselis is someone who typically runs nearer the back. There's no shame saying that's Cavero down the inside here of Melchi for third place. Manages to pick that one off with a nice little move. But ultimately, you'd say with Kasprzyk, Deselis is also on the medium tyre, so if that makes life even tougher to overtake, it does. And there goes Melchi, actually, who's gone straight on there. Renzo Melchi then will have to take the long road to turn number 3, and that's going to put Mifsud in the driver's seat, trying to get close. And as well as that, Francisco Valle Gonzalez might want to try and get in on that one as well, as they go on through 3 vehicles, 3 different manufacturers, fighting it out for 4th place.
Yeah, that is the big difficulty here. You just have to try and stay error-free completely. And of course, when you're just following the car, I mean, he's sitting in an M6 himself, but just having another of these absolutely humongous BMWs in front of you. And there's no shame in saying that either, because when you actually compare in helicopter cam, if we get Nathan Mifsud close enough here to pull alongside with Renzo Melzi, we will actually see how much bigger that M6 is, and, well, to see past that car is not always so easy. Suddenly the tarmac ends and the grass begins, and that's an error already made. That's over a second lost.
Exactly, it happens just like that, and in comes Vallada, and this will be for the penalty. This will be a drive-through for the jump start then that we saw. This will give Sheldon Scott Muscat the race lead, but Vallada wanted to give himself some room before he went and served that penalty. So there goes Vallada out and away from the pits, and will resume racing in 5th position right now. Will jump just ahead of both Gonzalez's. So Vallada, with work to do, now has to try and get past an Audi and another one of those BMWs which have been dominating the field. But Sheldon Scott Muscat now leads this one by 6 seconds. Vallada, well, here's the recovery time.
Yeah, I think this is definitely not the place where he wanted to come out, because right behind a battle, it's always difficult to just try and get past, because, oh, that was very early on the brakes from Nathan Mifsud, from Justin Mifsud, sorry, because of everything now that we actually have the other brother out on track. But, yeah, this is just what I mean. You have to fight your way back past them. There's no blue flags, and, of course, this is for position. So Vallada really has to push that extra mile right now. Of course, now here comes the slipstream, and he is looking down the inside and very aggressive defending as well, but I think that should be the move done. Yes.
Very forcefully done then by Giancarlo Vallada. Moves up then into 4th place and does so quite nicely. Next up then in terms of the chase, it will have to be one Mr. Melchi in 3rd position, but the key here in terms of this is, well, can they catch? Because there is not long remaining. They're down to just 6.5 minutes then in this race, and of course they do have to finish the lap when they go on through, so that's worth keeping in mind. Sheldon Scott Muscat, who, remember, started this race over in 6th position on this one, got up to 2nd and then to 1st. That's worked very well, and of course also on top of that, every place seemingly mattering out there at the moment. And I am just wondering here if there has just been a little bit of a moment for Plivac, as Gomez is in 8th position now and has gone through and has gained a huge amount of time. But ultimately here at the moment, Sheldon Scott Muscat out and away with 5.8 seconds to play with. You don't really argue against those sorts of gaps.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have all too much pressure right now. He can just keep on driving, and with that gap, I think it's quite arguable that he is deserved so in a spot like this. Valada, of course, he had a lot of pace and put a huge gap on Muscat as well. But a jump start is a jump start, and rules are rules. So yeah, the drive-through penalty had to be delivered. Valiant effort from him to just try and make the gap as big as possible. But of course, in the end, 5 seconds, 6, 7 seconds, that's not enough to cover an entire drive-through.
No, it certainly isn't. You need a lot more, and maybe if there were more time and this was a more traditional race in terms of descents, that could have really helped Giancarlo Valada. But now he's got to get himself on the back here of Melchi. And that is a huge sideways moment. How on earth do you save that at turn 5 going spread eagle sideways?
Honestly, that sort of line I would expect from an Audi, just from the Quattro, from the rally blood, but not from a BMW, which, of course, for race car terms, of course, it's a cruise ship instead of an agile, dirt hopper like a rally car. But the craziest thing is that he didn't really lose any time to Melzi there, so what a save.
Massive save, and it must be the work of an enemy's stand, some would say, with that sort of slide, but ultimately able to hold position and keep within that 1 second margin. It's now all about attack, attack, and attack at this stage. Try and find as much time as you possibly can to bring the gap back down. Also in a battle right now, trying to bring their gaps back into play are both the both the Valle Gonzalez's as well, because they are within 1 second there or thereabouts, and just behind that there is one driver a lap down out there on circuit, so they have managed to put the lap there. But Anton Valle Gonzalez trying to stay here with Francisco, his brother, and ultimately that gap around 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, and I think Anton will have to look in his rear view mirror now as well, because Gomez making his recovery drive from the start, of course, and you can really see he's using a bit more tarmac there on the outside. He's really trying to carry all of the speed through these corners, and now, for these 2 corners at least, he's going to be stuck behind Anton Valle Gonzalez because he just can't put the car on the inside here. Already pulls on the outside though, slots back in for the slipstream though, thinks better of it, and now he comes out.
Yeah, this is the attack then, so my apologies then. Gomez trying to get close to both of the Gonzalez's. Anton then is the one having to play defensive pact here as they go on the brakes towards 10A and 10B. It'll have to be the long road to try and get this one done. And no, not going to happen there. Very well held by Anton Valle Gonzalez in this battle. Back to Vallard though, we should look, because look at that gap. That was at 1/4 second as they go through turn number 1. Vallard is really all over the back trying to find a way through, gives a little bit of room going through turn number 3 and through 4 and down the hill for the S's section. They start to hit right now before turn 5 does appear on the horizon. On the brakes you go, and you can see both of them just pushing a little bit wide and starting to struggle a little bit. And it's worth noting as well that they only have a couple of laps to play with right now here, Nicholas.
Yeah, it's only 2 more laps to go, I would say, and that is definitely not a lot of time left.
Dropping down the timing stands and going down to 8th place. It's a spin at turn 5. We were talking about it earlier, how it's a corner that catches out, and it has caught out the Audi.
Yeah, now we have the replay here, and that is a bit late for the replay, but it basically gives us a general gist of what happened. So pretty much the rear end must have gone around either on the inside curb or then on the outside curb, because of course that outside curb is still quite high. You basically fly over the crest, then hit that curb wrong, and it's gonna just throw you into the left side barrier or the right side barrier. Pick your poison, but either way the result's gonna be the same. Meanwhile, Giancarlo Valada still not past Melzi, and honestly I would have expected him to get past there a bit quicker, but Melzi obviously putting up a great defensive drive here.
Yes, a very, very good defence at this stage. It is certainly working out. This is the fight for the podium here. 3rd and 4th position up the hill they go to turn number 5. And now about this attack Of course, the more that you wear the tyres out, the more dangerous that corner becomes. They start to take the run towards 6 and then 7, which is such a big setup corner around this place. You've got to make sure that you get a good run out of 7. And look at this. This is a stonking run from Giancarlo Vallada, who knows he's got one more lap after this to sort everything out right now. Pulls to the inside of the circuit. It will turn to the outside at 10A, but at turn 9, he's going to get the advantage. Still, though, look at this, mirror to mirror as they jam onto the brakes. Have they got the positions changed? The answer is still no. That's very well defended to go on through. Justin Mifsud's just jumped up into 7th place as well, but we've got one more lap to go around this place, Nicholas, and at the moment, it's all calm and serene at the front. Everywhere else is a little bit different as someone's in the pits and out of the race, and that is going to be, I believe, one of the Francisco Gonzalez brothers. It's Francisco.
Yeah, very unfortunate here. That is the position that that Justin missed it. At some point, I'm going to get it right. That Justin Mifsud just gained. And, oh, that is a big one. No, not quite. They kept it together barely, but either way, that is not the kind of situation that you want. I think that might be a bit of leftover damage as well for Justin Mifsud. But yeah, Carlos Gomez moves up into 6th place, and now all eyes are on Sheldon Scott Muscat, the man who kept it clean through this. But right behind him, of course, we're going to wait for him to finish the line, but right behind that, of course, Vallada just got past Melzi as well.
Yeah, that's a good move. We'll take a look at that one a little bit later, but Sheldon Scott Muscat through the final 2 corners have just kept head above water. It's that sort of race here in the opening one, and it will be the AMG, the only one in the field that takes the final corner. Sheldon Scott Muscat takes race 1 then of the all-German sprint challenge. It will be Joaquin Cavero into 2nd, and Giancarlo Vallada will take 3rd place because Melchi, I believe, has run into troubles on the final lap of this race, has dropped 8 seconds in the final lap, so not ideal to come to the line. Anton Valle Gonzalez will take a very, very good 5th place at the end of that, with Cruz Las Gomez taking, some would say controversially, 6th place ahead of Justin Mifsud in 7th position. It will be Plivac 8th, Celis 9th, and Garrido rounding out the top 10 then to finish this one. Only 10 finishers overall in terms of that race, but crucially, Vallada getting through on the final few corners there. It was turn 7 where it all managed to work out, and I wonder how on earth that happened. It may have been a spin trying to put the power down. Very easily done here, but Nicholas, it's one of those things where you just have to be calm in terms of the way that races go on like this to pick up the big win.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, well, especially on the last lap, defending or attacking, it's always that extra bit of adrenaline. And to keep that in check all of the time, it's quite difficult. So I think just a tiny mistake there under the braking, even maybe for turn 10, because I think out of turn 7, they were still quite close together. But yeah, just missed your braking point in turn 10A a little bit. And we saw on lap 1 already what the consequences can be. But one thing is for certain, the first round of the German showdown, it goes to Stuttgart for Mercedes. Then we have 3 cars from Munich, and then another one from Stuttgart, but in the form of Porsche.
Absolutely, and that's some very, very good battling that we have seen in the early processes. But of course, there is one more race to come after this, and of course, it's that second race where you'd say the first 15 minutes were a very, very important sighter, Nicholas. But now you look at that second race, you think, okay, what are some of the things that you can do to improve? There's one thing that you could really say that Giancarlo Vallada needs to do in that second race, and that is do not jump the start.
Yeah, I think that was basically the dead giveaway. That's going to be his main focus of improvement from the first race. And I think for Sheldon Scott Muscat, the incentive for the second race will be, just try to do it the same way as in the first race. Stay out of trouble, just drive away.
And of course, it's so easy to just drive away sometimes when you feel like you have the confidence underneath you to get going. But A lot of actually what gave that opportunity to drive away in the early stages of that race was just how manic the start was. 4 wide as they made their progress towards turn number 1. It was very easy, it seemed, for things to go wrong, especially when a lot of those drivers were having to wait for forever ad eternitum in terms of that one because of the spread-eagled nature of one driver off at the start.
Yeah, definitely. And it just really all came crushing together because at first it starts off with 4 wide. That is a bit of stress already because people, of course, see there's so many cars there. There's not a lot of gaps to go for. And then suddenly there's a car sideways, a whole lot of new adrenaline, a whole lot of new information to process. And then immediately, of course, you have to avoid these cars as well, Jake.
You certainly do, and as well, that start really did prove to be quite necessary. Someone we didn't really talk about was who was in second position for the majority of that race, and that is Joaquin Cavero, who had a really, really quiet and underrated drive into that second place. Didn't necessarily have the pace of the 2 fastest drivers in that field, but was able to keep clean, consistent, and out of trouble. And sometimes, and it's something worth saying, when the camera isn't on you, sometimes that's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's honestly one thing. Sometimes you know about it because you have the stream just on another screen, or maybe someone tells you about it, and that can induce some, nervous feelings. But also, well, how do you say it best? If you're not on camera, you can't get commentator's curse. So, yeah, just generally, keep it quiet race. A quiet race is not always a bad thing. And just finish what you start in a quiet manner and fashion, stay error-free, and that's a nice result for you.
Speaking of error-free, let's talk about that incident towards the end of the race. Justin Mifsud then finding himself with Cruz Gomez then towards the end, going through the final corner. It's such an easy place to try and find as much pace as possible. You don't really think about it from a hot lap perspective, but when you have a driver right in front of you, Nicholas, it can be very easy just to tag the rear, as we definitely did see. So how difficult is it and how important was it to find yourself in the right place to try and place yourself, especially at a corner where if there is a small mistake from the car in front, you've got no margin for error?
Yeah, I think especially for turn 12, it's really, really important that you just set up your run properly. Because out of the run of turn 11, you have the track quite wide in general. And of course, after that, you have turn 12, which just narrows it down very abruptly again for the start-finish straight. So I think what you really have to try and set up is that you stay very close behind in turn 12. Obviously not as close as we saw, but close enough so that you can just get that little bit of slipstream and then try to make it move into turn 1.
And every move becomes vital, but the next moves are going to be happening in the next few minutes' time. We're going to step aside here, ladies and gentlemen, with World Pro Racing, and we'll be back with more sim racing action, the second part of your all-German sprint challenge after this.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World Pro Racing's coverage of the All-German Sprint Challenge as a part of World Pro Racing Casual Wednesdays. You're watching this on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on Twitch, on TVM Sport, on ESTV, the Esports Television Network, and on motorsport.tv as well. We are seeing some sensational racing, but we have also had the stewards try and interject and get themselves involved a little bit, Nicholas, because we are getting word in from the stewarding team, Adrian Fagaio, who is the race director, and George Muscat, the chief steward, that there is a two-place grid penalty coming in for Guti Mikkelsen after the incident at the back end of lap 1, which really did make a pig's ear out of things. Ultimately, I do believe that we can't hear Nicholas Hillebrand right now, so he looks very, very nice and calm right now.
There we are.
he figures things out, and in fact, he just has.
Christ, yeah, Windows. But yeah, of course, it's always leaving a very bad aftertaste when you have a collision on lap 1. So I think, 2-place grid penalty. He got off with, still something that you can afford to lose 2 grid places, because we saw how much chaos can happen at the start. So just try to stay error-free, and hopefully, he will be able to make the second race a better one.
And well, this is the gridding up process then for that second race, and it's going to be a crucial 15 more minutes then of racing action that we have available to see right now. Everybody lining up from the positions that they had pretty much in terms of qualifying. So there they all look to try and sort themselves out and get themselves ready for that pace and formation lap. No surprises who's on the front, of course. It's Giancarlo Vallada, who'll be looking for a great time then in the opening race then, the closing race, I should say, that we have available for these 15 minutes. Everybody will be now just trying to make sure that they go through those final routines then on this formation lap, make sure that they have everything that's sorted up and needed. And what is worth keeping in mind is that for everybody lining up and looking for a position here and a position there, they are all hoping that they've got exactly what they want. The big difference, though, is that Guti Mikkelsen starts 7th instead of 5th, and that's a little adventurous from Giancarlo Vallada. They have to be cautious, of course, on this formation lap, Nicholas, because any damage they do pick up, it does get added on to the way that they race.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that you don't want on your formation lap is to have any damage. Of course, you have to heat up your tires, you have to heat up your brakes, but if you're a bit too adventurous, as we just saw from Giancarlo Vallada, just barely keeping it out of the wall, it's a bit of an embarrassing moment when you just suddenly lose the rear end, and it turns into, well, this is a nice bit of damage that I now have before the race even started.
A nice bit of damage. Well, no damage is really quite nice, I think is the right way to say it. Nobody really wants damage unless it's on their opponents, but they'll be going through the final couple of corners, and they'll be looking for their grid stalls and looking to try and just line themselves up quite calmly. Garrido would definitely want a chance to attack. He started on the front row last time and went absolutely nowhere off of the start. Kasprzyk as well was someone who really did not have fun trying to find the grid stalls. So everybody's going to be searching for a good start then here in this second race, brought to you by World Pro Racing. And if you haven't already, you can head over to worldproracing.com to sign up for some amazing sim racing action. If you're a beginner or if you are a veteran, there is something there for you. Last to line up will be Steve DeCellis. Everybody will be looking to get themselves into position. The 5 lights will be going on top of the gantry, and once they do go, everybody is going to be waiting, everyone is going to be ready, and everyone is going to be setting off for 15 more minutes of amazing sim racing action. Of course, a massive thanks to everybody on the top of your screen going through right now as Sheldon Scott Muscat does funnel on back into position. The 5 lights then go on. Everybody gets themselves ready, and they start right now, and that's a very, very good start then from Giancarlo Vallada. Another tough one for Garrido there in second. Let's go 4 wide again. Why don't we? Contact there, as that's Cavero trying to deal with all of it there, and Gomez trying to dive down the inside, and I think Gomez has just held on to it there. Very well done. 3 wide, almost up into turn 3, and round goes Cavero. Around he goes. Plivac already up into 5th place. He goes on through. The rear wing goes off of Kasprzych's car. As now into the wall goes someone there. And I think that was Kasprzyk. It was. So he's got a horrible start 2 laps in a row.
Yeah, I think really didn't notice the rear wing flying off there. So he just tried to keep on pushing. And of course, the aero balance of that car is not going to like that whatsoever. You can see him just trying to push here, try to stay within the cars. But that rear end is just not planted at all, and it just flies off into the wall.
So there goes Kasprzyk, and that is disaster off of the start. Everybody has been searching for a bit of time here and there. At the moment, Vallada has the lead, but here is Joaquin Cavero in 8th place. He'll definitely want to get past Steve DeCellis in 7th, and look at that, DeCellis fighting for everything right now. He even takes to the grass a little bit, trying to slam on the brakes, and they have both gone way too deep. DeCellis spins it around. He'll come straight across the circuit and exit stage right. He will go to try and get himself back going again. That is pressure. That's what it does to you. Anton Valle Gonzalez a little slow now, drops down into 11th place. But ultimately, Velarde leads. Gomez now up into 2nd. And Garrido now finds himself in 3rd position. Muscat into 4th. And Guti Mikkelsen is in 5th place. The biggest gainer off of the start was Adam Plivat, who managed to get himself up into 6th place through all of the melee.
Yeah, you could see all the battles just unfolding. Once again, 50 things happening at once, so it's really difficult to just constantly keep an eye on everything. But we have a lot of close battles here. We have the entirety of 7th to 11th place, all within these little nice couple 10th gaps. And everyone's now going to head, of course, onto the back straight, as we see one of the Gonzalez brothers with a very nice power slide in that Porsche. Of course, very nice control on that rear engine car for that. But now Renzo Melzi with an absolutely nice amount of slipstream, pulls for the outside for turn 10A. Can he make it work, or will the defensive capabilities of the Gonzalez be shown again? He's going to make it work, actually. Very nicely done.
Oh, and there is Cavero going sideways in front, so Lorenzo Melchi might have another little target here. Has gone past Francisco Valle Gonzalez, and now you can start to see how do you get aggressive, how do you start to attack them these laps. You settle down into a rhythm, you know you don't have long to work with, and there you go, another little wiggle then, and a slide caught as they go through, and that's all around. Someone around there, I'm trying to see who it is.
That's
It's
Mikkelsen. Yeah, I think that is maybe a bit of oversteer from turn 1, trying to catch it through turn 2, and that is very, very good spatial awareness that he didn't just back onto the track. And yeah, that's definitely not what you want. A very good avoidance from everyone as well.
A mistake through 1, which continues all the way to 2, and then the long wait before trying to reverse back, sees that there's a vehicle oncoming, and decides, you know what, time to wait. And away goes Mikkelsen now in 12th position. There is Justin Mifsud there at the moment, having a little bit of a latency spike, it seems, going through that section. But ultimately, it's all about the battles in front, because there is Melchi, there is Cavero, 6th and 7th right now, side by side on the brakes, and Melchi trying to get that one sorted out, I think has just picked up the place and has done. Cruzlas Gomez, though, sets the fastest lap of the race, gets it down to 2 seconds to the race leader, Velarde, at this stage, or 1.8 right now as things stand. But it's this fight, 6, 7, 8 on backwards, which is where all the money is at the moment right now, as everybody looks to try and get as much as they possibly can. Cavero is looking like he is driving on icicles at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, and he just seems to have a bit of grip issues, but still enough to just hold on for his place right now. But Mr. Gonzalez right behind him, he won't care about his issues. He's just there to try and send a nice one down the inside or the outside. And at the moment, he seems to be in a very good position for that. He's looking this little peak there. You see that? He's not actually trying to make a move, but he sees, you know, the inside of that car, and Cavero notices that he's looking down the inside. And that is a lot of mental play going in that.
Slide didn't help, though, for Mr. Gonzalez, and Francisco is now going to be under pressure from Justin Mifsud, who is in a Valle Gonzalez sandwich right now, because Anton is behind as well. He'll desperately want to get out of that. He'll think about the inside here, trying to pick up this move. The serenity there as he looks to try and get through, as we take a little look at his live in viewing right now from the brand new Sim Center, which will be opening in Malta in the not too distant future. So that battle certainly going on, and running ever so slightly wide there, has to try and gather it all back up nicely. But every single place is important here in terms of how you manage to manage this race. We're already 1/3 of the way even through this one right now, and the top 4 very evenly spread right now. Velarde, Gomez, Garrido, and Muscat. Not much they've really done in this race to really light up in terms of battling, but it's just that mental game of staying in a range and looking to pray for a couple of mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I think Gomez will be definitely a lot more happy with his result here, or even with his current position here, than from last race, just keeping it clean through the first couple of corners, and now actually being able to see the leader in front of him, and Well, they might still be a bit bigger gaps, but it's still something quite comfy for a midway race standing, because you can still try to close that towards the end. And, well, you are not within striking range right now, but just try to save your tires a little bit and you might be at the end.
And 18-4 is there again. Looks Justin Mifsud looking for the move on Francisco Valle Gonzalez. That one not happening through 10A and 10B as they attack down the hill and look to try and battle. It's Porsche versus Audi as they go on and continue. But now all of a sudden there is 5th place to contend with here, because Adam Plivac, you remember, started in 11th position, made up a boatload of places off of the start, was up in 5th place by turn number 3 out on track. Well, he's now only got himself 1 second to work with, and that Audi is being reeled in by a BMW, a second BMW, 2 Porsches and another Audi.
Yeah, and quite honestly, we saw that at the start, just in the back. Oh my goodness, that was close. But yeah, Plivac with... Oh, actually, yeah, that is a bit more of a mistake as well. So yeah, turn 5 once again is just a strike away. But yeah, Plivac, we could see him at the very back in that nice Special K Lamy 9-hour livery in that Audi R8 LMS Evo. But yeah, he made it around the outside, got a very good start at the start, and then kept out of trouble, and this is where he just ends up. This is a very good run from him. But of course, Melzi, Cavero, and all the others are looking to to catch up to him now.
Well, they certainly are. We apologise for any language that you may have heard there in terms of that moment. But Joaquin Cavero then does get the place back. It's worth also talking about that there has been a mistake for Cruz Las Gomez out there on circuit. And you know what? He's now got himself mirrors full of Garrido. But this is Cavero in 7th. Still not fully clear in terms of this battle and going on through turn number 1. He's okay for the moment, though. Good run through that section, and maybe Francisco Valle Gonzalez will want to try and get through soon, but ultimately it's all about how those tyres are managing, and that's not very helpful going down the hill. That's even more not helpful, and that's way out of shape for Francisco Gonzalez.
Well, people describe it as a roller coaster coming down that hill, but in the case of Mr. Gonzalez here, that was Mr. Bones' wild ride, and I think he was wanting to get off of that. But that was very, very close in all seriousness, and so very good car control from him in that extreme situation. And still staying in front of Mifsud as well in that situation.
We have ourselves 5 minutes now and 50 seconds remaining on the clock. They all look to try and work out, have they got that 1 extra position in terms of their battles? The leader is clear now by 3.6 at the front here. That's Giancarlo Vallada over Cruz Las Gomez. But Gomez and Garrido, that's staying at around 1.2, 1.3 seconds. Those two very much keeping at a similar pace as we look at Francisco Valle Gonzalez making progress then through the final corner and going on to start another lap then around this wonderful Road Atlanta circuit. It is very, very underrated, this place, and it always seems to put a spectacle on show for everybody looking to try and get their runs, making sure they get the best possible results out of this place. And as well as that, got that battle just in front of them for 5th and 6th. Plivac and Melchi here, hoping that they have a top 5 in the pocket. And in fact, we've just seen the place because the wing has gone off of, yes, it certainly has, off of Plivac.
Oh, that is very unfortunate for him. I'm wondering, though, if that was contact with the wall or maybe with one of the cars closing in. That is just all the way downforce gone. Luckily, the gravel trap saving a bit there, but... Oh, that is very unfortunate.
Just spun the car. The Audi is prone to that, having a little bit of a spin through that section. And then Plivac with no rear wing, no downforce in the vehicle, goes to take the left, tank slapper, and through the gravel and hard into the wall. There goes a tyre as well for troubles as well. And that is the end of Adam Plivac, who had a really good start to this race, but just could not convert it come the end. Renzo Melchi, though, will take that 5th place in stride, and we'll hope that there is some form of drama for the drivers in front, but that doesn't look quite likely with the closest gap between 2nd and 3rd at 1 second. Anton Valle Gonzalez now moves up into 9th place with Justin Mifsud in 8th, and Francisco Valle Gonzalez into the 7th position right now. 3 retirements from this race. Oh, there goes Cavero.
And now we have the arrows coming in at the end. Last time we had them at the start, now at the end. So yeah, the drivers are switching up, and I think that might have stalled the engine.
Oh no. And there's the replay. Bang! Hard
Or
into
just
the
killed
wall.
the engine.
And that might not be a stalled engine, but a no engine.
Yeah, that could definitely be, especially because that car is front engine after all, and yeah, very unfortunate end to his race.
Very unfortunate, but the race continues. 3 minutes to go then, and that promotes Francisco Valle Gonzalez to 6th. To 7th is Justin Mifsud. To 8th now is Anton Valle Gonzalez, and Steve DeCellis now is into 9th position. There's your race leader at this moment, Giancarlo Vallada, but I want to have a little look at 2nd position here at this moment in time, because that's going to be where the gap is. Cruz Las Gomez just doing enough right now to extend the gap over Martin Garrido between 2nd and 3rd position. It is an all BMW 1, 2, 3 right now, and they know they have to be cautious on the tyres, because it will be the tyres that will be letting go at this stage.
Yeah, and even if it's not the full tire wear that sets in, being pushed for 15 minutes straight, that is, well, the heat that constantly comes from the tires. Of course, you have this nice and long straight here to cool them down a little bit, but these high-speed corners, and well, almost all of these corners are high-speed corners, they do heat the tires up quite considerably, and it gets very, very hot for those tires, and of course, the hotter they get, the less grip they have.
And at this stage, it looks like Vallada might be the one who picks up the win overall. Remember, Vallada got 3rd place in the opening race of the night, and of course is in the race lead. The winner of that opening race is down in 4th place, so that tells you all you need to know. That would be the way that things would be calculated out, no matter how you do the maths. I think this is going to be Giancarlo Vallada's, unless something drastic happens in the next minute and a half. Sheldon Scott Muscat in 4th place has kept it quiet, has kept it clean, but hasn't been quick enough here to challenge the top 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting now when we actually calculate the final result, because if I am correct, Vallada was in 3rd place, so if he got the win now, he would be just ahead of Sheldon Scott Muscat, so he's still probably trying to push a little bit, maybe trying to get a bit closer to Garrido, maybe to just get, not quite in striking range, but you know, at least within range, if something happens between Gomez and Garrido, that he's within range to profit off of that.
Speaking of drivers in range, this is Justin Mifsud trying to get close enough to one Francisco Valle Gonzalez. They have lost Anton off of the back, who has seemingly spun the car around at a place, so that's not ideal, but this is another little attack. Try and find a little place, one more. You only need one more place, but of course the last lap now will be starting for Giancarlo Vallada and all of these drivers in this field. So they now have to be really, really alert to how they go and work things out. 4 retirements then from this 2nd race, and on the brakes into the left-right chicane of 10A and 10B. It looks like just enough being held here by one Mr. Francisco Valle Gonzalez here in terms of Justin Mifsud. The timer in this race does now expire, so one more lap for Giancarlo Vallada. Try and hold off everyone else behind us. Built a 5-second margin there or thereabouts at the front of the field, and has done really well. The battle for 2nd and 3rd remains at 1.2 seconds, heading on to the back stretch for the final time. This is what the pace was looking like in the early stages before having to pit for jumping the start in the 1st race. No such dramas in the 2nd, and now it's just a case of hit your marks through the final chicane. 10A, 10B, and then you start to think about the final couple of corners. The blind turn 11 and then turn 12 as well comes along, and make sure that you get yourself a nice crown to go with it, because your all-star German sprint champion is going to be Giancarlo Vallada. Cruz Las Gomez takes 2nd position. It'll be Martin Garrido who picks up 3rd just behind, who chased right down to the end, and Sheldon Scott Muscat will feel that that was a good race, but ultimately it will be not enough to hold everything together. And talking of good races from recoveries, Renzo Melchi picking up a top 5.
Definitely well done from him as well. We saw quite some nice moves from him, but Gonzalez as well in pretty much his third race that we've seen him in here. A 6th place, so quite solid result. Just missed it, of course, changing from broadcast crew to broadcast target, so to say. Also in the 7th place, so quite nicely done here. And the next Gonzalez comes across the line, Stuttgart in 8th place. And then we're just waiting for Mr. De Celis here in the Audi from Ingolstadt to bring it home in 9th place.
Well, a good battle up and down the order there as we see Steve De Celis then making progress towards the final stages then of the lap, just making sure to finish this race, going through 10A, going through 10B, and then looking towards the final couple of corners and over the start-finish line. Everybody has to finish the race, and Steve De Celis has beaten 4 drivers today by just keeping the car on the road. But very, very important second race that was. It's all about how you build up a gap from Giancarlo Vallada. He got a really good launch where, once again, there were troubles for those who couldn't, and that left things a little bit dicey off of the start, especially for Garrido, who really didn't get the hang of starts here today. But if you get a good start and you get a gap, you still have to convert, and that's what Vallada managed to do today, Nicholas.
Most definitely. He showed very good pace throughout both races today, and, well, as soon as he didn't jumpstart anymore and had to serve that drive-through penalty, you could really see that he was, well, confident in his abilities, confident in the car, confident in the track. And that is quite honestly, it's the best combo that you can have for such a weekend.
Absolutely is. You can't really argue against that here today. It was a really, really strong showing from Giancarlo Vallada, who has been a staple here in terms of Wednesday casuals. And of course, you can catch another Wednesday casual in 1 week's time. Of course, we do not know what that is at the moment. There will be an announcement coming soon with World Pro Racing on all the social medias, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, wherever you get your news. I'm pretty sure that World Pro Racing has it for you. So make sure that you give them a little bit of love in terms of that. But on top of that, Nicholas, we also have to talk about the final round, which will be coming up, of the HyperX Endurance Championship, which, of course, is going to be coming from the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, going back to our roots, also a track that's almost twice as long as Road Atlanta, but of course, well, pretty much the same level of iconic, I would say. And once again, in these wonderful Group 3 cars, I'm gonna be honest, I'm really looking forward to this, because while we saw a lot of domination from Kyokudo, just very good, well, race management in general, either way, we're going to return to one of the greatest tracks in world motorsports with very good cars. And of course, well, I'd say one of the tracks where Kyokudo is quite confident as well, judging that he won the grand final there as well.
Absolutely, some brilliant work being done. I believe we have just managed to get the results for you, ladies and gentlemen. So Giancarlo Vallada picks up with a total of 60 points, 25 in the first race, 35 in the second. The overall crown, it will be Sheldon Scott Muscat who would take second. And then with some good work late on in terms of the racing, it will be Cruzlas Gomez who will take third position ahead of Renzo Melchi, who will be on 35 points. Fifth place for Martin Garrido and sixth place for Joaquin Cavero in terms of the championship push. So no surprises then. Giancarlo Vallada is the All-Star Sprint champion here today, and he will be very, very happy with the way that all of those results have been able to be made. And speaking of drivers joining us right now, Giancarlo Vallada is here with us for a little bit of a chat. Now, Giancarlo, that was a little bit tougher than you made that to be in terms of giving yourself work to do in that second race, mainly because of the jump start in the first race. Just how difficult was it to make sure that the start was good in that opening race, knowing that you had that incredibly long hold and wait for one driver to get into a grid stall?
Yeah, hi to everyone. Thanks for the race, really nice. Really bad mistake from myself in the starting of race one. I jumped the start. It's a little bit tricky to start in a track that is going down. But well, in the second race we managed to start well, and since that, well, we were able to make a little difference to Krulas, that was second with a very good pace as well. So yeah, really nice race, really fun, and congrats to everyone on the podium.
Well, it was a really fun race, of course, or two races that you managed to find. But let's talk about the way that you had to negotiate through a few drivers here and a few drivers there, especially in that first race where it seemed like you had work to do. You had to try and work out where the overtakes are. And ultimately, how did that play out for you in terms of the long and short? Did it feel like maybe a track where overtaking today was always going to be difficult?
Yeah, it is pretty difficult to overtake, despite of the big straight line and the back of the track. You have a left turn, but then you just meters away you have a right turn. So if you are not all car ahead of the other one, you're not gonna be able to pass. So yeah, after my drive-through, I had to try to pass a couple of cars. Luckily, I was able to pass two of them, so I managed to be P3, I think, in first race. But it was pretty tough.
Well, it was certainly a tough couple of races, but you got exactly what you wanted in the final race. Sheldon Scott Muscat in fourth position, yourself in first. A case where you pick up the sprint race crown, so to speak, and now move on to the next Casual Wednesday in 1 week's time. Is it going to be a case where maybe you're just trying to put some decent results together, find some fun, find some pace, and maybe you find yourself with exactly what you want come the end?
Yeah, well, the plan was we had the pace, so we wanted to win both races, but, well, a little mistake, and we had to get back from him. But yeah, a really nice race, and we took the result that we wanted.
Well, before we let you go here, Giancarlo, shout out sponsors or anybody that you'd like to thank.
Well, just thanks to my fellow Peruvian drivers and the team that we drive for, GV Racing. Thank you very much.
Well, no worries at all. Victory then assured for Giancarlo Velada as he got it all over the line. Nicholas Hillebrand has managed to find someone who we've been seeing on camera all day, and it's not me and it's not himself. It's Justin Mifsud, who had been running about pretty much in the mid-pack for the majority of the event.
Justin, nice switch here from the broadcast crew to being on the broadcast yourself. How did you like your little excursion?
I'm glad that I chose this track. It's fast, it's crazy, it's frightening, especially the last corner, actually the one before last. It's a good combination of speed and you have to try to keep consistent as much as possible. A lesson that I must take, which I knew before but I never thought about it: never change your setup before the race. Because Luis Felipe was helping me out to change the setup, and so I was not feeling pretty well, but then it was worse in first race. In fact, you saw me crashing in the last lap. I tried to control it for the whole race, but yeah, I'm happy that, I mean, this was something that I rewarded myself to go and do some races again after years of working. We started working at World Pro Racing from 2017, and since then on, we never raced. I thank Nathan Mifsud for taking over the broadcast and learning as well at the same time to continue with the broadcast when I'm not present. And Nathan Vella, thank you, Adrian, and of course George for stewarding as usual for these past years. And yeah, I'm happy with this event, and yeah, I was quite consistent. But of course, those who had the setup from their previous race in the same track last week, I think it was, of course, they had good advantage because the setup on the BMW was great.
Yeah, but still, definitely good stuff from you on cam as well. We saw you battling quite a bit. Overall, were you in a position where you were, well, happy with your pace, or do you think there's still a bit of room for improvement?
Of course, I mean, in the practice, I did 1:17.4. So I was way far from, actually I was doing 1:17.4 with the Mercedes, and then I changed it to Audi for some reason because I could handle it more, but it was a bad choice. I could have placed top 4 from the practice, but I completely went crazy because I shouldn't have changed the setup, shouldn't have changed the car, but yeah, I mean, it's something that I wanted to do. I just wanted to have fun. That's all.
Well, That's what Casual Wednesdays is for, isn't it?
Exactly. That's the reason of these events. I mean, everybody can join, whether you are professional or amateur. It doesn't matter, as long as you are clean and enjoy the races, observe the blue flags, observe everything. And the important thing is that you enjoy the race. Of course, something that I must say that we're almost ready here. I don't know if I am on cam. I was racing from our soon to be ready sim racing facility in Malta. We're finally on time to opening it. Just waiting for some shipment from abroad because they were delayed by the shipping department due to COVID. And yes, finally we can say that our sim racing facility that we've been working for it for the past 2 years, it's coming to life. And yeah, hopefully that the local community come here and enjoy the races and continue increasing the sim racing community.
Well, so a lot of good news coming here. Thanks a lot, Justin Ifsit, and back to you, Jake.
Well, some brilliant racing coming up, of course, and a lot of great projects on the horizon, of course. We're talking 6 days from now, the finale of the Hypex Endurance Series on Gran Turismo Sport. That one heading to the circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, as well as the next Casual Wednesday event, which is going to be on the horizon 1 week from now. You don't want to miss either of them. So if you haven't already, you can like, share, subscribe to World Pro Racing. You can do so on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch. On top of that, we have been streaming live, of course, on the 24/7 works that have been done, of course, like some motorsport.tv, ESTV, and of course with TVM Sport, all of which have done absolutely magnificent work to get things going. In terms of the people who've got it done for us, we have seen so many people behind the scenes working. Of course, the two Nathans, Mifsud and Vela, have been on the cameras today, and the shooting team, Adrian Fagayo and George Muscat. From the man who will wash his mouth with soap out after this broadcast, one Mr. Nicholas Hillebrand, one myself, Jake Sperry. It is Giancarlo Vallada who has the smiles come the end. A jump start really put a dent into proceedings, but able to gather it back up, able to get the second victory, and able to have a little bit of a shine in the Atlanta sunshine. And of course, it's one thing to say this in terms of racing. Sheldon Scott Muscat would have hoped for just a little bit more, because like the Atlanta Falcons, it's another lead that apparently gets blown. We'll see you, of course, in 6 days' time for racing action at Spa-Francorchamps for the HyperX Endurance Series.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.